Yeah, I mean, again, China is much more comparable to like a monarchy than anything else. Like a monarchy that is willing to engage in trade policies. But I can totally see a version of China that is the same exact government, but they don't want to trade, right? But it's still called a monarchy in that instance, right? It's still a monarchy in that instance because it's a one-party rule. That's what it is, right? But like the next leader or the next like party that comes into power or the next version of the one party that comes into power could entirely be like anti anything, just completely anti intervention, anti like globalist trading, anti like economic stability, right? And in that case, then yeah, it would still be a monarchy, but then it'd just be no fucking,
with private investment, or you're
it's
talking
better
about
to
like
think
these
of it
huge
as a monarchy, okay?
social wealth funds that invest
A
in
neo-monarchy.
capitalist economies in private firms, right? Because if you don't have free enterprise, if you don't have private investors, then every single time a new business is going to start, you have to basically vote for the government to allow it to happen. Hey, we want a business that creates a new video game console. We're tired of PlayStations and Nintendos. We want something else. Then you'd have to vote for the government and petition the government and say, hey, can we make another company that makes an...
What's your take on China? Beautiful country, sucky government. I think that if you're Han Chinese, if you're born Han Chinese, you're in a good place. If you're born in any place outside of the cities, and if you're not Han Chinese, you're kind of fucked. Okay, good luck. You'll be a farmer boy for the rest of your life. Good luck.
Xbox, right? That would be a vote that you have to win because you're not allowed to do that individually. You're banned from doing that. You are not allowed to do that. You are not allowed to do that in a socialist economy. You cannot privately form a company. You cannot do it. It is banned. It's not a polite suggestion.
Oh, the way their economy is organized? I would say that they're... Fuck. Isn't there like a huge property? Isn't there like a huge poverty scandal in China? Like, isn't it the case that in China that they have like a huge poverty thing going on, but then they want to hide it. They don't want to show the fact that, they're like poor to some degree, right? Or whatever the fuck. Isn't that the case, or am I misremembering? You're
It is
also
banned
restricted
from
by the city you're born in. Yeah.
doing it because in a socialist economy, private enterprise means that there is an owner class employer, and the only way that he can make money off of his investment is by scraping the excess value. He has to extract the value from the laborer. The only way to...
Honestly, if you're born as a Uyghur, okay, like especially now, I think you should be fine as long as you obey, as long as you go through re-education and you like pledge your loyalty to the Communist Party of China. I think you should be fine. Okay, if you don't rebel, if you don't like do anything crazy, then they're not gonna kill you. I don't think they kill you for being a fucking Uyghur kid. I don't think they do that, but. Yeah, take as you will. That's my honest answer. Okay?
To extract the value from the labor is to exploit that person's labor by taking the surplus value as they sell goods and services and not paying them a fair wage, and then collecting that as your capital rent. Okay? Whether you agree or disagree on all of that, okay, is fine. But I'm just saying, like, this is an essential part of the socialist mode of operation.
Oh yeah, the Uyghur genocide is another thing that a lot of socialists and lefties refuse to talk about, okay? So before, and by the way, this is like also Arab phobia, because I like how they accuse people of Arab phobia and like Islamophobia, but do you know what's also Islamophobic? What's also Islamophobic is denying the Uyghur genocide or trying to revision it or to change it in any kind of way, right? To make it sound like it's something different or blah, 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 right? Like that is, to me, the core of, like you can't on one hand say Islamophobia when people are talking about Palestine, right? But on the other hand, you're not like willing to talk about the Uyghurs. It just makes no sense. It makes no sense to me. And one is like an actual, and one is so much closer to being a genocide. It just is. It's just hidden from the world because China is so powerful. They have no mouth and they want to scream.
Okay.
No? It's
you
sad.
cannot escape this. So when I say capitalism is essential to a liberal government, syndicalism, my bad. When I say that capitalism is essential to liberal government, I don't mean like, oh, we need like Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos to be allowed to come into our homes and fuck our wives whenever we want. I just mean you have to have people who are allowed to create their own businesses, create their own startups, and to decide like what they want to invest their money in. Okay, that's what I'm saying. All right. We shouldn't try. I'm sorry. We should. Okay. So who should we include in the Democratic Party? So people that have like a broad or some kind of like fundamental values or whatever, you know, that align with us. We shouldn't try to keep people inside of our movement who would try to dispossess the majority of the movement if they had the power to do so. Now, here is Wolf saying explicitly that in your debate with him.
All right. Final.
This is the PS4 or 5 question.
Question to you, Professor Wolf. Under your system of worker cooperatives, would I still get my PlayStation?
And the biggest problem when considering countries like Haiti is the sheer scale. It's hard to know what to judge when viewing news about over 1 billion people. Yeah, sure. And the thing is that China is also one of the most invisible countries, okay, on God. All right, it's really hard to know like what's actually going on in China because they probably don't do anything like census, or they probably don't do any population census. They probably don't do any like they probably don't allow studies like in the sense where you know you can get any meaningful information that is damning about China or anything like that. Like the government, the CCP actively works to prevent any of that from getting out. In reality, it could be way worse than what we think it is, but we just don't know, right? Because the CCP is actively trying to. Like, the thing is that right now the CCP is a monarchy that actually values academia and education, okay? But that makes it worse, okay? But that makes it worse because it's not like they value academia and education in the sense of like, oh, well, we want to advance science. They know a lot about it in a way where they can learn how to control people better, okay? So it's not like a benevolent monarchy. It's not a benevolent monarchy. It's a malicious monarchy. Yeah.
5.
Absolutely. You'd have to struggle a little bit for it. You'd have to talk to your fellow workers. You'd have to talk about the distribution of income. You'd have to compare your desire for PlayStation against all the other interests of all the other people. It wouldn't be something you worked out on your own with your particular boss in any way. It would have to be a democratic decision. You'd have to come to terms with that the way you do with democratic decisions now in our society to the extent that we have them. And I would like to add only that if Steve is interested, he could also look at the experience with COVID that the Cubans had because
Okay, so now I know a lot of people make fun of him for this answer, but I actually appreciate this answer because at least he's being honest about his answer. And even if it sounds ridiculous to you, there are pros and cons on both sides of this, right? You know, you make fun of the fact that like, oh, I'd have to beg workers in order to.
Like, at least, dude, and you can make fun of Richard Wolff, right? And there's plenty to be made fun of when it comes to like these like socialist professors. But yeah, I mean, it's true. They're honest, aren't they? Right? They are honest. Imagine convincing your coworkers to get a fucking PlayStation. Sure. Here's the thing, okay? The problem is that we have a bunch of people who don't say that they're socialists, but they are absolutely on the same level of Richard Wolff. But at least Richard Wolff is willing to say, yeah, we are going to go through this crazy shit in order to get your fucking PS5, right? It's just fucking retarded. Sure, it is retarded, but like he is willing to stand on that retarded hill and die on that retarded hill, you know? Like
Get a fucking PS5? Like, that sounds horrible, right?
Like the problem here right now isn't the fact of like, oh, socialism is bad, right? Because that's what Connor was getting about. Connor during the entire debate, like his entire point was, oh, socialism bad, so that's why we have to worry. No, that's not the point. The point is that we have a bunch of people who are lying. They're lying and misrepresenting themselves. They're bad faith. Okay, they're trying to worm their way into these orbits without being honest.
But like you could, from a socialist perspective, you could say,
you don't get
oh,
it.
true. Isn't it so much better that you get
And that's why Connor is a hindrance, okay? That's why he didn't help.
a PS5 for free because starving Chinese kids have literally no option in life but to work and be enslaved at capitalist factories to make video games for you, right? You can always phrase this negatively on either side if you want to, okay? But I'm just saying I appreciate Wolf's answer here because at least it's an honest answer, and then we can debate the pros and cons of it, of which there are legitimate pros and cons, okay? I'm not going to sit here and lie to you like
And the act of being submersive. Yeah,
every other fucking person on the internet does about their ideology, and tell you that every single thing about my ideology is the best, because it's not true, okay? There are pros and cons to everything, all right? Okay.
Nigga!
One of the reasons why
Sorry, I don't know why. Sorry. I don't know why I did that.
I pushed yesterday on this, on the media sphere side of things, is because when you look at the entire leftist media apparatus, all right, all of it seems to be shitting on liberals like crazy. Why would I ever try to include people in my movement whose sole fucking purpose in life just seems to be shitting on everything we do. Like, they talk about things like re-education camps. They want to ban like all forms of private enterprise and investment. Like, what? Like, are these really the people that like I need to be keeping in my movement? And then, kind of going along with that second point, the third point is reciprocity is important. It does.
True. 114 viewers and only 34 likes. Let's get that up.
Doesn't make sense to keep someone around who would exclude you from their own movement, right?
Okay.
How many times have you heard this? Cut a liberal and a fascist bleeds. Liberals always side with fascists. Why must we constantly bridge build to them, but they never bridge build to us? If we criticize any of their candidates, we are called sellouts, bootlickers, racist / Islamophobic, etc. But they will always shit on and attack our candidates constantly. Okay? Like, I don't know if you guys remember all the insane homophobic Pete Buttigieg shit, but like, if we would have, when Pete, after one of the debates, if this was like a socialist candidate and we would have tweeted, like a whole bunch of liberals would have tweeted out, like Democrats would have tweeted shit out about this, about like a gay socialist candidate, bro, it would be over. Okay? Like, it would be, the leftists would lose their fucking minds. And they also tried to lie to you and say, oh no, there was no homophobia with anything related to this. It was just, it's about a movie, LOL, where a bunch of people are raping a guy, you know, but.
Jesus.
If they want to reject all of this messaging and say that it just comes from radical online content creators, which is also kind of where we got to in the debate. But again, the Pisco was screeching and screaming so much we couldn't really get anywhere. Then who are we supposed to look to as thought leaders of leftists? Sorry, hold on. Let me read down over quick. After the leftist...
Dude, bro is just like writing up an entire manifesto in his notes, dude. I know that like Destiny's manifestos haven't been really good lately, okay, but dude wrote an entire manifesto in his notes.
This drama is over. Can we start discussing not socialist ideas that a lot of us progs are in favor for, single-payer healthcare, extended welfare state, etc., without making it a meme? Sure. Then someone donated $20. Should I plead guilty, Destiny? Yes or no? Yes or no? Good one.
Ha 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 ha.
So my question was, is it Bernie Sanders and AOC? Because they're being almost universally attacked by those on the left online right now. These are also lawmakers. They're not really thought leaders or media / movement figureheads. It's hard to say if any successful ideological leader or figurehead could be a politician in a liberal democracy just because you have to appeal to so many people. So I stuck to say.
Not every manifesto can be as banger as the Keffels one. Yeah, I agree. Or that fucking Aaron clip of her saying she's a communist and Pisco saying that doesn't prove anything, man. I know. That one was, oh, dude, I don't even know what to say about that one. I don't know.
In here because I don't actually know the history that well, but I feel like just like on a curse.
Like I have no words for that one. Like, okay, yeah.
Like glance of my brain. I feel like most of your activists or like thought leader people in the U.S. historically aren't usually politicians. I mean, I guess they could be, but I'm leaning heavily, obviously, like the civil rights, like people like Martin Luther King or Malcolm X or like these types of people. Or
Disney said he would do another manifesto about pixie stuff. Yeah, but it's like, okay, fine. But like, I don't think he needs a manifesto on the pixie stuff.
You're big suffragists. Like a lot of these people just aren't politicians for whatever reason. I think that like activists and stuff are doing activism and everything, and they're not usually your politicians. Generally speaking, I believe that's true. Also, I don't know if I really ever got to get this out. I think I kind of did, but again, there was a lot of screaming. AOC and Bernie Sanders, like if we were to draw, like in their version of what socialist is, okay, so if I put like lib capitalist over here.
Like for me, the pixie stuff is interesting and I love covering it, but I actually enjoy covering this a lot more. I'm not gonna lie, all right? Yeah, I mean, that's just the reality. Foodshops, do you agree that in the Destiny versus Pisco initially came off unhinged? Yeah. Why would I not agree with that? You're phrasing it in a way as if I don't agree with that. I totally agree with you. Okay.
And then I put like I'll do Demsoc or Democratic Socialist, some kind of socialist over here.
Of course, he came off as unhinged.
Like they're picking people who are like AOC, Bernie Sanders, these are like your outer perimeter. These are your most like lib-friendly, lib-coded people that you could ever have, okay? These are your most lib-coded, pro-capitalist people that you could ever have. And it's like, these are your ideological leaders for this whole socialist movement? Like, really? I'm not buying that one. I don't like that one. I think it's okay to include people who are further left than us, but they have to view us as a vehicle that we're all, or they have to view it, I guess, as a vehicle that we're all riding together in to achieve fundamentally similar ends. Our different end goals could be slightly more or less extreme versions of our ideas, but they can't be for the abolition of our system and then moving over to an entirely different system, especially one that would mandate violent purges of all the people in the current group, right?
Hi.
So if you're like a person who's like, I think that we should have trans kids from like age 1, and someone else is like, I think trans should be 18 and older and that's it. It's like, okay, fine. You can have a tent that has both of these types of people in it. But if you're a person who's like, I think we should have like, healthcare and all this stuff and like, but like if people want to start businesses, they can do that. And you're a person who's like, oh, that's cool. I think healthcare is good. But I think we should fundamentally alter the entire political composition of the United States of America, probably eradicate about half the Constitution, and then get rid of every single person in this country or imprison them if they agree on capitalistic ideas. It's like, that's not, no, you don't bridge build with those people. You don't have those people on your side. Like, I'm sure there are things that I say that Nazis agree with and the KKK.
Dude, an Asian girl just walked up to my landlord's door.
Members agree with or whatever, and that's fine. And if they agree with me, I'm happy. That's good. I'm glad that they agree with me on some things. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to look to them and like start aligning myself ideologically with them because they happen to agree with some things that I say as a byproduct of my direction. You know, it's not like I'm trying to appeal to those people. Also, we never really got to this, but the both sidesing also completely destroys any ability to have any political effectiveness and necessitates a total ideological change of the Democratic Party. When you both sides the parties constantly and say both the Democrats and the Republicans are doing this bad thing.
Off topic, but last night was the only time I've seen Wick not come up as a total cut because there's no white women on the panel. That's why.
The only alternative you're giving
Disney fan here, doing such a good job with your content recently. Keep it up. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
People is total eradication of the party's platform, right?
See, I always love comments like that, okay?
Because again, think about it. If you've spent your whole life hearing, wow, the Dems and the Republicans are the same, why the fuck would you contribute to any Democratic project? You're not going to. You just want to do a whole new thing. Because why the fuck would I appeal to a slightly better version of the MAGA movement of the Republican Party, right? Like, it's just so fucking cringe.
Foodshops my favorite Destiny order.
How do they stack up with us? I was going to do more examples here, but when I was doing my research yesterday, I was like, I feel like we're not even going to get to this, and I was right, we didn't get to this. But they don't share fundamental values. Yeah, like just like these like statements about like politicians, like.
I think that he also, just as a matter of campaign strategy, was.
So he's talking about Mamdani right now.
Omnipresent. He was everywhere. He's going on podcasts. He was doing social media, and so I think a lot of more.
It really came out of the alcohol of nowhere. About time.
More conventional political operatives didn't see him coming.
Andrew Cuomo had a more conventional media campaign.
For sure. And I think in many ways, he, in addition to the moral disqualifications that went with his history, he just didn't, if anything, he reminded, I think, a lot of people of the status quo. So I think a lot of people are focused on the leftism, the ideological leftism, that I think we shouldn't be so surprised that prevailed in a New York Democratic Party primary. But I think if my party wants to learn lessons from Mamdani's success that are portable to a place like Michigan, where I live, it's less about the ideology and more about the message discipline of focusing on what people care about and the tactical wisdom of getting out there and talking to everybody.
So like Pete Buttigieg here is basically saying like what Pisco and
oh yeah, the Vanguard says this man's a rat, he looks like a rat, he talks like a rat. Oh god. Okay, I just want to see Pisco. Okay, I just want to see Pisco, sorry. Okay.
on kids gloves off.
I want to be adamant on staying liberal, okay? I want to be adamant on staying liberal, okay? So don't worry, I'm not gonna turn to the right, turn to the left, okay? I'm as neoliberal sock dem as can be.
With Josiah.
He didn't call you a communist?
No, I mean, he may have now. I have no idea, but my point is,
I don't think.
For once, no special titles. No special titles. No weird caveats, okay? Nothing to hide.
I don't think Josiah is a communist or something. I don't even think Pisco is.
Is this POE? Yes.
The communist is socialist. I don't even truly think that Econo Boy is a socialist. All I know he's defining himself, which is part of the problem. But
I just don't think that that's how.
But like, I don't disagree with Josiah here, where it's like, oh, yesterday, you know, I saw Josiah give a take where Josiah was like, oh, you know, I think that actually a 20 an hour minimum wage, I actually think that could be viable. Like, I'm not calling up Josiah and being like, okay, you fucking retard. Why don't you walk me through what a 50 an hour minimum wage would look like? I want to hear it. No, shut the fuck up. Have you ever hired anyone before? Show me how you would fucking do this. Like, go ahead, let's set the fucking experiment up. You fucking like, I'm not gonna, that's unhinged. Right? That's crazy. And there might even be like a point where we have a platform and like we just don't even discuss something. So it's like, oh, like this is a huge high minimum wage proponent. I'm not personally a fan of a very high federal minimum wage, but like I don't know if we're gonna drill in on that, because why won't I drill in on that? Because who should we include in the Democrat?
They should bring you on to live and learn. Yeah, but I don't know how I would contribute to the discussion. All right, I just don't think my input is very important or very good. Okay. I mean, maybe I'm just like downplaying myself a little bit, okay, or whatever the fuck. But I just think that I'm just not that impressive. That's it. I'm just a slop cover, okay, with some knowledge about politics. That's all I am. I'm not anyone special.
Party. There's nothing wrong with including people who share some fundamental base values, and if they have like a slightly more extreme or less extreme version of things that are like more or less in line with our fundamental values, it's not worth like exercising somebody for that, you know? Like a high minimum wage federally is not something that I am like fundamentally morally opposed to, right? If somebody says like, oh, like I think that we should have 20-hour minimum wage, I'm not like, you're my ideological fucking enemy. Like, see you in the Civil War, pal. You better hope I don't cite you up. You know, like that's not going to be the case. Like, okay, fine. I disagree with that. I don't think it's dumb. Even more extreme things like rent control and shit. Like, I think they're really bad policies. But I don't think that's enough to make you my ideological enemy. So, I think Josiah's reasoning and rationale here, I think are all good.
The problem with me going on IP is that I'm not like a specialized person in anything. You know, I don't like they already have their liberal leftist commentators, whatever the fuck, okay, but like I don't have any particular expert knowledge on anything outside of like maybe genocide, a little bit on genocide, I would say. Like honestly, genocide is probably the only thing I'm a little bit like I would say I'm more well read on, but like
I just don't think I would apply them to socialists who relentlessly attack the left. Like Josiah here, like, if they applied the same lens to us, I would be so much different in how we would feel about this, right? But like,
I like this new slop tuber vibe versus when you try to little bro people running panels. Okay.
Like,
wait, when was that?
Crystal Ball is one of the sane ones, you know? She's supposed to be one of the chill ones. And when she gets these are some of our most important people, right? This is one of the most important people in the country right now. This is a senator. The Senate is incredibly important from a divided state, Michigan. So when it comes to like effective political stuff, this is one of the most important people that you can have, right? Okay, well, how does the leftist treat the liberal now? Right? Well, do they build a bridge, and do they try to put small disagreements aside, and do they try to see like where we have common ground where we can fight against MAGA?
Curious why. Sorry, I woke up and I accidentally put on my shoes on the wrong side. I'm 33. I mean, don't we all do that, right? Like I'm pretty sure Einstein has put on like the wrong side of his shoes like before, right?
You wanted to talk to us.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
And
forgive me if this is impolite. Like I'm curious why you wanted to talk to us. What do you mean? Well, like we don't have actually a lot of senators, especially ones.
I didn't even finish this interview, but she decides to make the whole interview about fucking Palestine and Gaza, and it's like, why are you focusing?
Yeah.
Why are you focusing on this one fucking? It's like unhinged. So it's like, no, like really, these are the people we're supposed to.
You know what it kind of reminds me of whenever someone asks about Israel versus Palestine to like a senator or a sitting U.S. representative or something. It's like, okay, you went through all the trouble to get this interview. This is someone who's really big. This one is someone who holds actual political power. All right, what kind of awesome questions are you going to ask this person? Oh, no, just Israel and Palestine this entire time. Not even our own fucking country, by the way, other than our tax dollars, right? Like, sure, our tax dollars are important, but like, dude, is it really more than healthcare? Is it really more than military spending in general? Is it more than, I don't know, like fucking California subsidizing diabetes in red states, right? Like what, like, which part of it, I took that from Lynn, by the way. Like, which part of it is like, which part of it is more important than these, right? Than our own fellow fucking Americans, man. Dude.
We're supposed to build a bridge with these.
Also, you know what it is? You know what it's like? It's like seeing a really bad interview, right? Where, okay, like, this is just a good example. You know how some people just like completely throw the interview because they're a bad interviewer? Because interviewing is a skill that you actually have to practice and learn and know how to do. That's kind of what it reminds me of. Because okay, you got this fucking cool ass person on. It's a fucking professor ass person. I don't fucking know, right? Okay, cool. What kind of awesome questions are you gonna ask this person? Yeah, I mean, like, what did you eat today for breakfast? What's your favorite food? What's your favorite color? Are you fucking kidding me? Right?
People.
Yeah.
And then it makes you feel crazy a little bit, because then you get like statements.
Yeah. Hutch wins. We've always agreed with him on those specific micro points. And I guess in the AOC it's a different conversation, but that's what I mean. Like the broader point of how we can learn. I think there's a lot to learn from people anyone who says that like the Democrats did things perfectly, or like should have stuck around with Joe Biden, or did things well in Harris's campaign. I'm bored of that. I want to say, how can we improve? How can we be better? And that's why I'm so like, honestly, just rolling my eyes at the Hunter Biden.
Listen, once we're big enough, we're gonna organize canvassing efforts together. Fuck this shit. Okay. Yeah.
Biden stuff is because he's basically saying we should have just stuck with Biden, and that's like the opposite of what I
All
think
my
we should
fellow
do.
Californians, right?
Well, and with the AOC thing though, and I'll have an explanatory thing at the end, but with the AOC thing though, I feel like Hutch was correct again. And by the way, I was with everybody else first, and then he won me back on a
Wait, fuck. Did I not have the right timestamp here? Hold on.
a tactical point, which is effectively that you, Andy Conaboy, said, the lefties are just being crazy, it doesn't affect the electoralism, don't worry about it, they're voting for Democrats anyways, they're just bitching because they love to bitch. And then he also said,
he heard these two young boys, these young men, that initial inclination of you, Connor, is so telling, because that's my view is, he's right about the micro point, but the macro point, which is what I think Conaboy and I were trying to get to is, let's get some energy, let's get some fight in us. It's something that we can improve on, which is why I think that initial inclination of you, Connor, is so telling, because that's my initial inclination is, he heard these two young boys, these young men, who are coming on and basically saying Democrats need to be better fighters.
Like, that's not what the Vanguard is saying. Oh, the Democrats just need to be better fighters. They're saying the Democrats need to abandon their entire liberal capitalist platform and become socialists.
Yep.
Like, that's just an insane whitewashing of...
And I agree with that, right?
I hear
totally
nothing but
agree with that. On the micro
in this
points,
house,
Hutch wins. We've always
actually.
agreed with him on those specific micro points. And I guess...
But is Crystal Ball socialist? What does that clip have to do with the wider point about not getting her social? Yes, Crystal Ball, I think she would either consider herself that, but she's like a leftist. I don't like she's off in that direction. I don't know what they would consider themselves now. If they would say dem suck or suck them, or I don't know if there's a thing for what she identifies with, but
Okay, I just want to see Pisco cope, okay?
the self-defense of the proletariat against the oppressive capital class, who only exists because they're exploiting the labor of the proletariat, right? The revolution, all of the violence that they would enact is always seen as defensive violence.
Piss cope, piss constipation, pissy cunt. There's so many better names than Pisco.
To some end.
Standard that you would rather have Hassan over Trump.
That's correct.
Okay, so I have some questions, okay? Do you think Hassan is a tanky? And what I mean by tanky, in general, like supports the Soviet Union, pro-China, doesn't believe in democracy, right? Believes in one party rule?
I'm not sure.
Okay, so how... Okay, I have two questions after that. Then how...
Also, I don't know why Pisco would even phrase things. Like, if you're saying, like, Hassan or Trump, who are you voting for? Like, this is also very weird. Pisco seems to say in a lot of these debates, he has no idea what Hassan believes at all. I haven't seen enough clips of him. I don't know what he believes. I don't know if he thinks this. Then why are you saying that you would pick Hassan over Trump? How would you even know that? How could you even possibly answer? What is the content that is filling your brain for both of these people to even answer the question if you literally don't know anything about
his girlfriend?
Any of these?
Moving on.
I'm not sure.
Okay, so how... Okay. I have two questions after that. Then how can you say you prefer him? You have like no clue about his ideology.
Oh shit, he just says it. Sorry, my bad.
I think that even though I'm not sure if he's a tanky or not, I'm not convinced he's a tanky. even if he were a tanky, I think that I'd probably support a tanky over a fascist, and because I think that a tanky, if he were a tanky, would be more constrained by the current constitutional order than a fascist under.
Think about that. A tanky would be more.
I once had a communist GF, never again. Really? Shit. My condolences.
More constrained by the current constitutional order than a fascist would be. Like, what is that?
You know,
constitutional order. So both of those reasons, I think it'd be more practically constrained by our constitution, even if you were a tanky.
Wait, can you explain that? I don't understand why a fascist would be.
Yeah. So I think that the courts, I think, are much more like kind of traditional conservative institutions. The courts in general, I think, as we're seeing right now, seem to be more abiding by fascist encroachment than they would be in terms of any kind of left-wing encroachment in the terms of like collective ownership, that kind of thing. And so I think the courts in general and the law in general and these legal people are much more conservative in that sense. And so they're much more likely to be a bulwark against tanky takeover than communist takeover.
Think about like how boring this answer is, right? So how would you feel about a tanky versus a fascist? Oh, tankies, I wouldn't be concerned at all. Really? You'd have no concern about any of the potential expropriation of all the business? No. That's all against the law. So it'd be cool.
Pisco has been active since 2020 in Twitch pool. Both Pisco and me were moderators for Prime Kai. Oh, sounds gay. Were you and Pisco fucking?
Cool.